Welcome to the Feminine Principle podcast, heart-centered conversation for soul-centered women who are on a path of self-discovery. I'm your host, Nicola, shamanic practitioner, shadow and soul integration coach, and the creatrix behind the Feminine Principle, supporting women to redefine the relationship they have with themselves, others, and Mother Earth through the magic hidden in their unconscious. For more information, please visit thefeminineprinciple.com. Good morning, ladies. Well, happy Valentine's Day and sending you all lots and lots of love on this beautiful. Okay, so ladies, love, so we all know love. We've all experienced love. We've all experienced the beauty and the joy of love. And we've also experienced the heartache of love. And so there cannot be love without grief, and there can't be grief without love, because the two have this beautiful symbiotic relationship that helps us to really feel those two aspects of what it means to be human on a deeper level. So love and grief, they actually go hand in hand, even though, we like to think of them as separate, but actually they are beautifully entwined. And so on this day, so it's Valentine's Day, and Valentine's Day, we've been conditioned, we've got to send cards, and we've got to buy chocolates, and we've got to go out for dinner, and we've got to celebrate love with our partner. And this is how the Western world has kind of geared this festival to celebrate the love with a partner. However, not all of us have partners. Okay, I know I have a partner, but not everybody has a partner. And so I was really starting to feel into this and thinking, well, something's not quite right. So what is it that's not quite right? And I thought, this day should really be a celebration of love for thyself. And, so we're all walking back home to source. We're all walking back home to self, back to this source energy that's held within inside of us. And that is the place of unconditional love. So not many of us actually really feel or understand the true depth of unconditional love, because we're all on a path walking to get there. And so, today I invite you just to think for a moment of an aspect of yourself which is wounded, okay? So we all have these wounded aspects of self. Some of them are visible, some of them we know about, some of them we over-identify with, some of them dominate, and they're all there hidden in the unconscious. So I invite you to just think for a moment of a wounded aspect of self that really needs your love and attention. And then I invite you to give yourself love, to give that wounded part of yourself love, unconditional love. Just sit with it for a moment, feel it in your heart, and really honor the wounds of that aspect. And so, this is about bringing your attention and your awareness to these wounded aspects, because at the end of the day, the most fundamental thing that all those wounded aspects need is love. So this is a day to really go into that and celebrate that and feel into it and honor love for thyself, not for the other, but love for thyself. And the more that we honor love for thyself, then the more that we can love others and our beloved Mother Earth. And so, as you can probably tell, I'm absolutely full of a cold. I've had bronchitis, which has been really beautiful lesson because it's all to do with my masculine. So just to give you an example of this giving love to yourself, as I mentioned, I've been working through this really, really deep wound of the masculine for a couple of years now, where it's been really on the table, which has taken me through many, many layers. But I manifested, first of all, flu, which I got off Nicola, the masculine. And then it turned into a really severe acute bronchitis. And I was really hacking away, and, I'm a smoker. And so all this stuff really came up, but it really, really scared me, the level of the bronchitis. And it really shocked me, because I knew that this is what I had to come. If I carried on smoking, if I carried on, disrespecting my body in this way, then this bronchitis was only going to get worse as I got older. But all this bronchitis was all related to the wounded masculine within myself. My father, who was my granddad, also died from emphysema when he was 77, and he was a smoker. I remember him And when I was little, you know, he always had this cough, this smoker's cough, which is something that I've always had. And this is chronic bronchitis. And then when it comes out, it's acute bronchitis. So my body was basically showing me and highlighting to me physically, through the physical symptoms, the wounded masculine. So this was really, really interesting. So I was able to work with my body. So when I was really, really sick, I think it was on Wednesday, and I was working with homeopathy. You know, homeopathy is my thing, as well as astrology. I work with homeopathy, and I'm always curious about what remedy my body is asking for. And anyway, it was asking for phosphorus, you know. And so I was working with phosphorus to help work with the acute symptoms of the bronchitis. But you know, phosphorus is the light in the dark. It shows, it highlights what is hidden in the darkness through the symptoms that I was manifesting in the physical. And this is why I love homeopathy, because the body speaks, we listen to the body, and then the body calls in the right remedy, and then the remedy works with the body to heal and not suppress the symptoms, and to work through it and get to the root cause of that illness. So this is why I love homeopathy. But anyway, so working with phosphorus and really honing in and just sitting with all of this energy, this illness, and this masculine, this wounded masculine that was in myself. Oh my goodness, my dad came in and I had to sit with him all day. And by sitting with him all day, I was really, he's passed, by the way. By sitting with him all day, sitting with his energy, I learned so much about him that I hadn't seen before. I was aware of it, but I hadn't seen it. And so, you know, he died at 77. He actually died the moment that I got together with Nicola, which was really interesting. But anyway, we've been estranged since I was 13. But anyway, he was showing me how his behavior and how he behaved in his adult life, you know, leaving the marriage, leaving me, was simply because he was looking for attention in other women. And the reason why he was looking for attention in these other women was because of his own broken relationship with his birth mother. Because the wound of abandonment, it happened to him as well. This is where the abandonment comes down through the ancestral line. I mean, it does go further back than that, and I've done work on that further back, but I'd never really sat and heard my father's perspective. And basically, he grew up in the same circumstances. So his mother, which would have been my great grandmother, she had him when he was 17. So that was back in the 1920s, when obviously to have an illegitimate son, you know, that was an absolute tragedy in those days. It was an absolute scandal. And he was labeled a bastard. And anyway, she had this son, and she was 17, and she gave him straight away to her mother to bring him up. And she never ever acknowledged him as her son, even though she went on to get married and she had 2 other children. She never recognized him as her son, not even when he died, and not even when she died, you know. And so I could see this broken relationship with the mother coming through, you know, which obviously then reflected back to my own broken relationship with my own biological mother. But to sit with him for those minutes, of that whole day, and to feel his pain and his suffering, you know, at being abandoned, and it was just really heartbreaking, and it really made me realize how much grief from this abandonment wound we were both carrying. And this is why he loved me so much, he cherished me so much, and he wanted to give me a different type of life. But then obviously he repeated the same pattern because he didn't know any different. But he tried to make amends to me when he passed. But at the end of the day, we didn't meet each other again in the physical world. And so we're meeting each other again in the spiritual world. But what was really interesting was that the moment that I was able to open my heart to him and really feel into that love and that gratitude for the lessons that he taught me, you know, the phosphorus also kicked in, and I was able to open my heart and start shifting the bronchitis out of my chest. And so obviously now it's developed into a cold animal, horse, and everything else. But it's really beautiful, because what this taught me again is that the more that we can enter into a relationship with our body through the physical symptoms that we manifest, we're actually able to get deeper into the lessons that we really need to learn, and what is actually coming through, and what luggage, what are we carrying that is part of our makeup, but also part of the ancestral makeup, and not just in the spiritual line, but also in the bloodline. What are we carrying? Because we are carrying so much, and it is really time. We need to be bringing all of this energy, and we need to be looking at it, working with it day in, day out. I'm not saying go in and lose yourself in it, but, being conscious with it, sitting with it, giving yourself permission to be with it, rather than it coming in and just dragging us under, but having a relationship with it, understanding, okay, well, what's mine, what's yours? Okay, let's see, what do I need you to see in me, and what do you need to see in, what do you need me to see in you? So we're working in this ancestral level, always with the mirror. There's parts of ourselves which need to be healed. And so this takes me back to the theme of today, which is love thy wounds. So go back in and have a look at what wounds you are carrying, and what wounds really need your love today. And I invite you to just sit with those wounds, listen to them, honor them, light a candle for them, feel them, not get pulled under by them, but feel them, and really open your heart to what they have to teach you, because they have so much to teach you. And they're not wounds that we need to carry heavy on our shoulders. They're wounds which are open, which are waiting for us to go in and heal them. And we can only heal them through acceptance, forgiveness, honoring, and love.
Thank you for tuning in to the Feminine Principle podcast. If you have enjoyed listening and received value from this episode, then please consider supporting the work to create a circle of reciprocal generosity. The link is below, with love and gratitude.